The greatest TVDU storyline that never was. Now, if you actually watch my video on Elijah, you would probably know exactly what I'm talking about, but I am specifically referring to Elijah and the Hollow. More so specifically how exactly Elijah could have been the main person in the Hollow storyline. But before I actually explain why exactly Elijah needed to be the person to be the main character in the Hollow storyline, I first need to go over why exactly the Hollow storyline didn't work. For one, as a character, the Hollow as a standalone character cannot work. She needs a main character to bounce off of. And this is mainly because the actress can't play the Hollow's role, at least not in the way they intended to be. Now, this by no means actually mean that Blue Hunt, who plays the Hollow, is a bad actress. She isn't. It's just that she can't be convincing in the role based on the fact that the role isn't tailor-made for her. Like, the Hollow is tailor-made to be the most powerful person in the room whenever she's actually there. And I'm not referring to her magic power, I'm referring to her presence alone. The Hollow was meant to be another Dahlia, and the reason why it worked for Dahlia is because the actress who actually played Dahlia, Claudia Black, is really good in the role, as in she could really pull it off. Mainly because the way that she acts, the way that she talks, the way that she stands, all of it, as in everything about Dahlia screams power. However, with the Hollow, the only thing that screams power about her is her magic. When the Hollow speaks, it somewhat feels like she's trying to convince you that she's the most powerful person in the room. With Dahlia, she doesn't convince people. You know. Dahlia doesn't even need one-liners. She can say the most normal things and you will still believe that she's the most powerful person in the room. Just by how she's saying it. Even before you even know that she is the most powerful person in the room in terms of magic. And if you think I'm exaggerating, let's compare.
That's not all I know. You've come here in the hopes of saving Sophia. How gallant. She served me well, but my magic has overrun her body, an infection that will destroy her. Although, I could save her, if you pledge your loyalty to me.
Nadu, show yourself. What's the matter? The big bad Hollow too scared to face me?
I hide from no one. Especially not some would-be king of New Orleans.
There you are. After all these centuries. Hello, my Freya. Dahlia.
What are you waiting for? You crone.
Now that you've arrived, not a thing. Let us begin.
And the worst part is, there's not really much going for the Hollow's character. She's just evil. That's it. This basically means that she isn't complex at all. So meaning that everything comes down to the actress and what she does in the show. For example, Kai isn't complex, but you still love the character because of the way that the actor actually played the role. He is tailor-made for the character of Kai. Now you might say, is it because she doesn't have a deep voice like Claudia Black? Not really, because Nina Dobrev's voice is just as high as hers. But nobody will tell you that Katherine isn't terrifying. Or at least most of the time, she's the most terrifying person in the room. The character that the Hollow actually took over at the early part of season 4, that being Sophia, the actress that played her is more convincing as the Hollow than the actress that actually played the Hollow. Most of the things that you actually remember about the Hollow, as in most of the scenes that you remember of the Hollow, is from the time that she actually took over Sophia. And this brings me on to my second point and my second issue with the Hollow, which is that the Hollow cannot be personalized by a Nadu. Why? Because a Nadu is the exact same person as Dahlia. This will become important slightly later on. The Hollow should have stayed a spirit and shouldn't have been personalized. A Nadu or the Hollow should have just stayed a spirit for the entire season. The only time we get to personalize the Hollow is when she takes over somebody's body. And in terms of the characters that the Hollow actually does take over, they need two things. One, they need to be actually convincing as the character of the Hollow. And two, they need to be a person that the audience actually cares about. The problem with the Hollow's character is that both of the people that were actually used to personalize the Hollow, as in both of the people that the Hollow actually did take over, they always have one but lack the other one. As in, Sophia is a very convincing version of the Hollow. However, we just met Sophia, so there's no way that we will care about Sophia that much. And in terms of Hope, Hope is a character that we do care about. We've literally known about Hope even before she was born. It's a character that we've actually learned to become attached to. We care about Hope. However, Hope, a 7-year-old Hope, isn't a convincing version of the Hollow. So in short, the Hollow shouldn't have been personalized as a Nadu. They should have made it so that the Hollow can't resurrect herself. There's no reason to make the Hollow resurrect herself. In fact, that made her a lot worse. They should have made it as the Hollow can't resurrect herself because she doesn't have a body. The horror mystical aspect of the Hollow became null and void the moment that she was actually resurrected. So, make it so that the Hollow doesn't resurrect herself, as in keep her as a spirit, and secondly, and then you personalize her by making her take over somebody's body. And don't make it 2 people like what was done in the show, don't make it 3 people, don't make it 4 people. It only needs to be 1. And the person that she actually picks to take over needs to be somebody that we actually have known long enough to actually care about, and also somebody that can actually pull off the role of the Hollow. Now, if you've heard what I just said and you've watched Teen Wolf, you will notice that the characterization I'm actually describing describes a very specific character in Teen Wolf. Teen Wolf is the perfect example because Teen Wolf as a show is bad. Yes, I know it's a bit of a drive-by, but anyone that actually watched Teen Wolf knows that the show is bad. It's enjoyable, but it's still bad. But in the 100 episodes of Teen Wolf, there are 12 where it becomes the greatest piece of fiction you've ever seen in your life. And I'm of course referring to Season 3B. And the greatness of Season 3B could be summarized by one character, Void Stiles. He's one of the best characters I've ever seen in my life. Like, he's just as good as Klaus. I'm not even joking. But the reason why that character works is because of the 2 things I just said. Stiles was almost everyone's favorite character in Teen Wolf before Season 3B. So when it turns out that he was the villain, we care more about the villain than if it was a random person that we just met or we barely know about. And secondly, Stiles, as in Dylan O'Brien, can play the role perfectly. The characterization of the Nogitsune is that he's cunning and he's powerful, and Dylan O'Brien can literally show you that just by the way that he talks or acts or stands. Everything about Void Stiles screams that, as in screams that he's powerful, it screams that he's cunning. They don't need to tell you that he is, you just know by just watching him on screen.
Can you hear that? It's louder than usual, isn't it? Well, that's because a lot of bad things happen down here.
Divine move. Divine move. You think you have any moves at all? You can kill Leone, but me? I'm 1,000 years old. You can't kill me!
The Nogitsune and the Hollow are very similar character. The only reason why they actually diverge, as in the point that they actually diverge from, is their aims, as in what they actually want to achieve. The Hollow wants power, the Nogitsune wants chaos. Why? Because the Nogitsune feeds off of chaos, and the Hollow just wants power. And the stuff that the Hollow actually did at the start was very similar to the stuff that Void Stiles did, as in make people fight each other. He had friends that loved each other, tried to kill each other. He basically viewed everything that he actually does as one big game. He has a sadistic sense of humor, somewhat like the Joker. We don't need to know much about his backstory because we don't need to. The same thing with the Hollow, as in we don't need to know about the Hollow's backstory because it didn't really do much for her character. We already know that she's just evil. We don't need to know why she's just evil, but it's still fine that they had a backstory, but it is not really necessary. The Hollow is supposed to be a walking darkness, just pure evil. And if you're going to have a character like that, have her actually cause chaos. As in the same way how they started having the Hollow have characters like Marcel and Klaus fighting each other, have her continue doing that. With Void Stiles, there's not really much going for his character. He's not really that complex, he's just evil. However, the complexity to his character is just the dynamic between him, Stiles, and the main characters. Because in the Nogitsune basically put them in a bit of a conundrum. He's going to keep causing as much chaos as possible to feed off of. And the main characters can't really harm him because if they harm him, then they also harm his Stiles because the Nogitsune took over Stiles' body. So the Nogitsune is basically forcing them to kill each other and they can't do anything about it because they can't harm Stiles. It's the same thing they should have done with the Hollow. They should have done that almost from the very beginning, although not entirely at the very start. Although yes, they did try to do that with Hope at the end, but Hope doesn't personify the Hollow, as in, Hope isn't that terrifying. She's a 7-year-old. The person that should have been her Stiles, as in the person that the Hollow should have actually taken over, is Elijah. Elijah is literally the perfect person that would be way better than Hope in this situation. And not only because I said earlier on that Hope doesn't really personify the Hollow, and Elijah, well, if you watch the originals, you understand why Elijah could pull off a terrifying mystical being, because Elijah is already a terrifying mystical being. When Elijah is serious, you know that Elijah is serious. The third reason why I actually believe that Elijah is a better option than Hope is because Hope is loved by everyone. Sophia isn't known long enough for the audience to actually love her. The only person that does is Marcel. With Hope, she's loved by the audience and she's loved by people in the show, as in everyone in New Orleans that knows of Hope, loves Hope, and would care about Hope. So they will try their absolute hardest to not kill Hope and actually try to help her and actually try to get the Hollow out of her body without killing her. However, Elijah isn't loved by everyone. In fact, most of the people outside of the Mikaelsons hate Elijah. So they will not be walking on eggshells trying to save his life and actually help him and cure him off the Hollow. They need to make it so that the Hollow can die, but if the Hollow dies, the host also dies. Meaning that for you to kill the Hollow, you have to kill Elijah. And this creates my favorite type of storylines in all of media, civil wars, whether being mini or major civil wars. On one side, you have the Mikaelsons and their allies who very obviously wouldn't want to kill Elijah to actually defeat the Hollow. And then on the other side, you have everyone else that hates the Mikaelsons and would not care about killing Elijah to actually defeat the Hollow. You see Vincent's girlfriend from season 5, have him kill her. Have Elijah kill a lot of people. Have Elijah sacrifice a lot of people's family members. Have Elijah cause as much chaos as possible with the Hollow within him. Have the Hollow, who has already taken over Elijah's body, cause as much chaos and death as humanly possible. Make it absolutely so that the other side is rightly justified in actually wanting to kill Elijah to kill the Hollow. The ends justify the means. They're not trying to kill him out of hatred, but they're trying to kill him because they have to. And obviously you have the Mikaelsons and their allies wanting to save Elijah's life. So on one side you have the Mikaelsons and the allies, and on the other side you have witches, humans, and some werewolves and some vampires. In fact, make it so that it's werewolves from Hayley's side, and make it because of Elijah. Make it so that the Hollow actually kill one of the Crescent Wolves, and obviously Hayley wouldn't want to kill Elijah to kill the Hollow. This is the perfect progression because of what happened to Jackson in season 3, as in the storyline will be a continuation from season 3. As in all the storylines from season 3, especially for the major characters, shouldn't just be randomly ignored in season 4. It should be a big deal in the next season. It should have carried on to the next season. The Crescent Wolves already distrust Hayley from season 3 because she was the reason why Jackson died. Hayley got involved with a war between the Mikaelson and the Strix and actually helped torture Tristan. And Tristan, in revenge, killed Jackson right in front of Hayley's eyes. So yeah, she was very much responsible for it, and the Crescent Wolves rightly called her out for it. But that was just ignored the next season. That should have been a big deal. That should have continued until the next season. And in terms of the Mikaelsons, they should have reiterated the hypocrisy of them from what was actually being said about them in season 3. As in Marcel and Vincent's point should have been reiterated in season 4. The Mikaelsons don't care who dies and who suffers as long as they survive. Which is the point that Marcel and Vincent were trying to say in season 3, as in right at the end. If the roles were reversed and if it was any other person other than Elijah, they would have killed them immediately. But because it's Elijah, they won't. It shouldn't be black and white. One side don't need to be the villain and the other side be the heroes. Both sides need to be just as bad and just as good as each other. If you have all the named characters on one side, then you would automatically be aligned with the main characters, as in all the named characters.
You'll forgive me for stating the obvious, but your plan does nothing to save my brother. In fact, it relies entirely upon his death.
Easy. He's just trying to help.
Klaus, Elijah's already dead. Now, the only thing that we can do right now is figure out whether or not that death is going to count for something.
That's not a call any of us get to make, especially not you. There has to be a way to save him.
Freya, you still have the antidote we used to cure Marcel's bite.
I have it, yes. But I don't know if it'll work against the poison of the rosebush.
You guys aren't listening, okay? Even if we do cure Elijah, we still have a big problem. That's called the Hollow, and it's just gonna keep coming at us until it resurrects. And when that happens, we're talking about an ancient, primal power that's made flesh and blood. It will wipe out this entire city in an afternoon. There ain't a damn thing that you or anybody else here can do about it. Now, my way, we take her out while she's still a spirit. Elijah dies, but at least his death counts for something.
No. No, I'm not willing to discuss this any further.
What about your little girl? This thing wiped out the entire love in their bloodline. It already got to Hope once, right? Now this is a chance, Klaus. This is probably the one chance that you got. Now you want to blow that opportunity to maybe save your brother? Or do you want to do your job and save your little girl?
Don't use my daughter to justify your absurd plan.
On the other side, as in a spearhead for the other side, should be Mary, Vincent, and Davina. This should be a bit of a problem for Kol because he doesn't particularly like all of his siblings, but he also doesn't want them dead either. And his girlfriend is on the other side. And it's also the same with Marcel because Marcel doesn't particularly like all the Mikaelsons, but he also doesn't want all of them dead either. And this is mainly because season 3 ending and the start of season 4 had already emphasized the fact that Marcel is a massive hypocrite, as in Marcel condemns Klaus all the time but does the exact same thing. Marcel can't hate Klaus because he will hate himself, and he slowly began realizing that, hence why he started to align with Klaus. Because again, they are basically the exact same person. Have Marcel be the middleman, and in terms of what Hope should be doing, have Hope be the actual person that actually grounds Elijah's humanity. We didn't really get much relationship between Hope and any of the main characters. And this season should have been the perfect time to actually have Hope and Elijah's storyline be fleshed out a lot more. Make it so that the only person that can actually get through to Elijah should be Hope. But in the end, you should also have Hope against Elijah. Why? Because in this season, should have been the season that Hayley actually dies. I don't mean dying at the hands of a random character, but actually at the hands of Elijah. Not because Elijah helped her get killed, but because Elijah himself personally killed her. This will be the perfect combination to Elijah and Hayley's storyline. This is something that's been alluded to from all the way back in season 2, when Esther told Elijah,
"How long before it's your beloved Hayley's corpse behind that door? Stop. You must be afraid that loving you will destroy her, as it destroyed Celeste and Tatia."
The fact that nothing came from the Red Door storyline really pissed me off. Yeah, it changed Elijah's character a bit, but there was really no storyline that actually came from the Red Door. It just affected Elijah's personality, and that's it. Elijah is as mentally weak as they come. Elijah is like Stefan. Elijah is governed by grief, especially when it's something that's done by his hands. The death of Hayley should have been the Hollow's biggest mistake, as in that should have been the reason why Elijah became a normal person again. That should have been the reason why Elijah was able to actually expel the Hollow from his body. However, the damage has already been done. Elijah is now going to be a mental wreck from killing another person that he actually deeply loves. And not only that, but his relationship with Hope is now forever damaged. And the person that the Hollow actually tries to take over next is Klaus. And then the storyline should just continue until Klaus gets to the point in which we actually join up with the actual canon, which is the end of season 5, where Klaus actually unalives himself to kill the Hollow. And when it comes to Elijah, because Esther's completely opened the Red Door and all of his memories has actually come back to him, it should have been that Elijah physically can't suppress that memory. As in, Elijah can't suppress the memory of him killing Hayley. He can't actually repair their relationship with Hope, so him actually dying would make a lot more sense, especially alongside his brother. He can't repair the relationships that he's already broken, and everyone in the city hates him, and the one person that cares about him deeply that will do anything for him is about to die. I might as well join him. I've achieved my life goal because I've actually helped him become a better person, because I failed him when I was a human. As in, when both of us was a human. I didn't do anything to stop what happened to him growing up, and this is my way to pay him back. And I've achieved that goal and actually watch him grow as a person and become a much better person, to the point in which he's sacrificing his own life to save others. But anyways, the reason why she came up with all this extra stuff is because Elijah's character is incredibly wasted. Elijah didn't really do much. Elijah didn't really have any major storyline in which he was the spearhead, as in he was the leading man. That only happened twice. One of them was obviously the Red Door storyline in season 2, and then in season 5 when he compelled the memories of his family away. And that's it. And that's so annoying because season 4 should have been Elijah's season. We didn't need another season with Hope doing the exact same storyline with Dahlia. The Hollow storyline in season 4 basically just ended up being the exact same storyline as Dahlia in season 2. However, with Dahlia in season 2, that worked because the actress could actually pull off the role. The actress for the Hollow couldn't. But anyways, if you haven't actually watched my Uncovering CVD Villains for Elijah, then click on the video that's on screen now.